Hi guys, today we're going to do some digital kit bashing using Blender. Blender is a free piece of software. There will be a link in the video description where you can go find a copy of it. When you first load into Blender, this is what you're going to see. Clicking anywhere off this little menu will get us into the main screen, and you'll see that over here in the collection there's a camera, a cube, and a light. We're going to delete all three of these as we're not going to need them. Next, we are going to load in the STL files we need for the bits to construct our model for today. So let's start this build by going and getting a base. Now for this particular model, I am going to use the Home Defense Force basis from a one-page rules from the October Patreon. I happen to be a Patreon of theirs, and we're going to go ahead and pull that in. So we're going to go import STL. I already have it open up here. We'll just pull the first one, which is the HDF base round 2501. Okay. Go ahead and import that in, take a quick look at it. Nice, simple. We're going to right mouse click, and I do this with every object I bring in. I set origin to geometry. In this case, it looks like it already was. There we go. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed all the bits that we're going to use. You'll see them over here, along with the round base that we had. I'll have a complete list of these in the files where you can find them in the description to the video. And these are from two sets. It's from the these are from Anvil Digital Forge, the Daughters of the Burning Rose Battle Line Infantry, and the Battle Line Booster Pack. That's where I got these bits from. And I'll have all that detailed, like I said, in the description. So let's start the build. So one of the first things I like to do is kind of digital pinning, right? So I'm going to put, we talked about setting the origin. I don't think I've set all these yet. So let's just go ahead real quick and set those all to geometry. Just going to make them much easier to work with. Okay, there we go. So let's start by bringing the body over here. Let's see. Now we're going to go with the full run. That's the one that we chose. Okay. Let's move this a little more forward on the base. That looks good. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this base, and then over here, I'm going to make it invisible. Then we're going to go up here. We're in object mode. We're going to select add a mesh, and we're going to add a cylinder. It's going to give us a little cylinder right here. Now, we don't really have to change much on this cylinder, but we're going to use it like a pin. Okay, so I'm going to use the hand to help me navigate. I'm going to move this to where this is now in the foot. So what I'm trying to do here, just so you know, is get a nice connection. And I could probably do this, go Control, copy, Control V, and I just made a copy of it. Now I'm going to go ahead back to the base and turn it on, and I can pull this down a little bit. That way I get a good connection here, but if you don't want to set this too far into the base, then what could happen is if you leave any gap there, however small, when this prints, it'll actually not print on the base. And I don't want this pushed all the way into the base. I want it to look like it's sitting on top of it. So that's why I went ahead and put the two pins. They'll go down into the base and make that connection for me. Okay. Now I'm going to do something very similar with a lot of the other connections, like in the arms. So let's just go ahead and go object mode again, add a mesh. That's a cylinder. And we're going to go ahead and bring this one up. And we can change the size of it, the diameter. Let's get this basically where we want it. Okay, now we're going to rotate it. So I'm going to select it. And that's my x-axis over here. And we're going to make this 90. Oh, the wrong one. Set that back to 0. Set my y-axis. Yep, that was the y-axis. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get this moved to where it's basically like so. And we're just going to push that in. And again, that's just to make sure we get a nice connection. You could fiddle with that to put it in there. I'm going to go ahead and select this again. Go Control C, Control V. And I'm going to just drag this one to the other side. Oh, that lined up perfectly. Nice. Now, it's not all that important that this goes in too deep or too far, because it's all going to get joined into one, and the main thing is that there is a connection between the two pieces, and that's what this forms. So here's our right arm. We're going to go ahead and bring this up and over. Let's look at it from the top. Okay. We can bring this out a little bit. So it sets kind of like that. That looks pretty good, actually. Okay, here's our other arm. Let's bring it over. And again, we've already got our pins in there. And now we're gonna end up rotating this one a little bit. So let's go ahead and select it. Let's get the rotate, because I want to bring this up, and you'll see why here in a second. We want it to be more straight out like so. Okay, back to our move. Okay. Obviously we got that a little too low, a little too far in. Almost. Okay, let's bring that out now, because there is, so we got a little bit of a gap there. I'm not really keen on that, but that's not going to be seen so bad. But what we can do, just to kind of clean that up a little bit, is go ahead and rotate this out. Yeah, see, that's nice. And do we want to bring this up a little more? I actually do, like so. That doesn't look bad. We're going to put a shoulder pad on it over here anyway, on this one. We may not even put one there, just leave this one. So let's go ahead and move this over there now, actually. And we're going to need to rotate that more so like that, and then kind of like so. Okay, and we're still going to need to rotate that a little bit more like that. Okay, we almost got that right on, not quite. Okay, let's go ahead and move it. Let's bring it up. And I think we want to rotate this back this way. That looks good. Okay, so now we're just going to make sure that this is on here, right? So we're going to go ahead and hit the move. Just push it in a little bit. I can see the other one starting to pop out here, so we don't want that. Let's see. Not quite. Okay, we're going to fiddle with this until we get it just the way we want it. And sometimes it's just what it takes to get it in there the way you want it. Okay. like so. I think that's it. We rotated that around. That looks pretty good. Okay, we got that done. Let's go ahead and bring the head in now. Let's do it on the move. Let's bring it up. Obviously up a bit higher. Now we could do the pin thing here as well, so let me just move this. Let me just turn it invisible for a second. Let's go ahead and do object mode, add mesh cylinder. Bring this up. Again, we just need something in there to make a good connection. Let's turn the helmet back on. Now I actually want to rotate this view a little bit. Okay, and let's rotate it up just a tad. We could even cock our head a little to the side. Just gives it a little more movement, right? Okay, let's do the move. Let's pull this. There, that looks like it's centered good. That's a nice, that looks good. All right, so we're now going to bring in the upper part of her weapon. Okay. Now you'll see right in here is going to go right there, right? So we're going to have to rotate this. Let's move it out. I'm not sure I rotated it enough. I did not. Okay, that's fine. We can figure that out just by eyeballing that to like right there. That looks much better. Okay, now again with the move, and we just move this into place. You can see that clearly is not. That's okay. That's why we're doing it like this. That actually looks good. So let's turn this off for a second. Looks like it's a bit high, right? Oh, there we go. Now, as I'm looking at this, it looks like it wants to be rotated a little like so. Okay. And I'm not going to try, and I am a little concerned that, yeah, see, that's a little crookedy. Okay. So. That's much better. I think we got a good connection there. Let's kind of take a quick look. Oh. No, it's still a little off. We'll get it. Is it the green? Looks like it was the green. Okay. Again, like I said, you're going to have to fiddle around sometimes with this to get it just right. Oh, we're still not quite there. Okay, it looks like the vertical is good. It's just rotating. Like that. Okay. Much better. Okay, that's going to go like so, and then it's going to come in, and then okay, I think that's about it. There's not much more we can do. Just pull that down. We got a good connection there. I'm really happy with that now. Okay, let's go ahead and put the backpack on. We're going to just pull this. Oh, let's go back to object mode, add mesh cylinder. We're going to bring this up. Bring that over. And was that our Y at 90? Nope, I did it wrong again. Control Z, Control Z. So it must be the X at 90. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to pull this down, put it somewhere right in the back. Just make sure it's got a connection. It does. It looks good. Now we can bring this over. That looked pretty good, like we nailed it. That looks really good. Okay. Now, we're going to bring the hand over. And we're going to have to rotate this a little bit. Let's go ahead and, again, object mode, add mesh cylinder. Bring the cylinder up over. Okay. 90 on the X. Whoop. $90 on the X. There we go. So we'll just pull that over, make sure it's, you know, inside the. But what we can do here is on the scale, we can go 0.75 tab, 0.75 tab, 0.75 tab. Now we can go ahead and pull this out. It's a little bit smaller now. Perfect. That's in there. Now let's bring the hand in. And we're going to have to rotate this. Oh, that's not the rotate that I wanted. I wanted that. Okay. So now we can go ahead and try the move. Let's pull this back. Almost. Oh, we want it to go over, down, back in. Now I'm not liking the head position, but you see what we're doing here. Let's just work that head a little bit. Let's get rid of that. And let's bring it. Okay, we want to rotate it like, there we go. That looks better. Okay, so we've got good connection with the foot. Now, if we're going to use this, we only need one of them, and you see there's two of them here. And I just want to put one on that shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into object mode, add a mesh, and we're going to add a cube. Okay, so let's bring the cube over here. And what we're going to do with this cube is we're going to make it larger so that it encompasses one whole shoulder pad. And then we're going to use that to create, what do they call it? A modifier. And we're going to put a Boolean modifier on this that we're going to use to delete one of these objects. And part of it is I haven't learned how to break these apart yet myself. So we're just going to go ahead. Now we're going to make this larger, like 5, 5, 5. Okay, that's really big, which is fine. We just need it to be all encompassing over. Oh, perfect. So we're going to select the shoulder pads. We're going to go over here to modifiers. We're going to add a modifier, and it is a, is it an edit? No, a generate a Boolean. Okay. We want difference. We already have this selected. And then we're going to click this little eye droplet onto the square. Then we're going to hit this checkbox right there and apply. And what that should do is now when I pull this over and delete this, all I have left is just this one shoulder. So we're going to go ahead and set to 0, and now we can go ahead and place this. Okay, let's bring it over, let's push it back, bring it down. Okay, I got a little bit of work to do here. Let's bring it up. Bring it. Oh, that might just do it. Although I think what we want to do a little bit is just rotate like so. It looks like it's all connected. Now we got to be careful. I've done this before where my shoulder pads just come off because I don't have them pressed down enough into the base model. So we're going to come down a little bit, see if we can see it peek through, and we're going to come up just a little. There we go. Oh, it's still peeking through a little bit. I don't want that. Let's bring that up just a hair. There. Okay. So now we're done. Wouldn't mind this actually leaning forward a little more. It looks a little flat-footed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to turn that back on. Now I'm going to put the rotate on, and everything else should rotate. That looks better. And we still have our foot in there. Okay, now we're going to go with the base. Let's bring that back. There we go. It looks like we got our weight going a little forward. Now we're moving in the right direction. And we can exaggerate that a bit more if we wanted to. Again, I'm going to turn that off so that I can just left mouse click and drag to the whole area. So now I have everything selected. Now I can join these, but I'm going to leave them unjoined for now. We're going to go ahead and turn that back on just so we can see our base. And now we're going to go ahead and rotate, and we're going to exaggerate that a little bit more. Now we're going to need to move our base back just a tad. Now what I could do, and I'm going to try here, is I'm going to rotate this base, and you might see what I'm trying to do here. Now that I've got it rotated, I'm actually now going to move it just because of the thickness, just to help hide that heel a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that when I actually print it. There. And there we go. We have a unique Daughters of the Burning Rose running with her proclamation out. That's her search warrant. That's her search warrant. Now again, at this point, if we had a bunch of other models here on the screen, what we would do is we could just select everything. Okay, now I can right mouse click and hit join, and now everything's just one model, and I can go ahead and set origin to geometry. Okay, and then what we can do is file, export STL. Now what I'm going to do is right here, selection only. Okay, and we're going to call this Sisters of the Burning Rose running scroll. And we're going to put that, we don't want it there, we want it on our 3D files. This is digital A, we're going to put it into the unsupported. I say sisters, it's daughters. Daughters of the Burning Rose, running scroll. And we're going to export that. Now, I can go ahead and go Control Z, let it finish saving. And then that gives everything back to not being joined. In case I want to move things around or whatever, I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save. And we're going to give it the same name. Sisters of the Burning Rose. Running scroll. It's in our unsupported. We're going to go ahead and save the Blender file. But just so you can see now that I can import it, you can put it into your slicer software, slice it as need be. I would recommend, if you do have the repair functionality, go ahead and do that. In this particular piece of software, I can do the repair and do an advanced repair, which I will do. And then I can slice this and print it, which won't be part of this video, but there you go. Awesome. Hopefully you guys find that useful. There's more you can do with Blender and Kitbashing. I tried to keep this relatively simple. I did show you one way of deleting some objects. That technique can be used. Again, that's a Boolean modifier, a differential. And I just made a big block and deleted what I didn't want. As always, I appreciate you taking time to check out what I'm doing here on the channel. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I'll respond to all the comments. You got any questions about what I did here, I'd love to share it with you. And if you don't mind, put a subscribe on the channel. I'm going to be putting out more miniature content, painting, and modifications, and probably some gameplay with some of the rule sets as well. Anyway, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.